In the middle of this unremarkable office runs the most futuristic experiment you've probably never heard of. I'm talking about this vending machine, which for a month was entirely managed by an AI. He handled emails, negotiated with suppliers, set prices, and dealt with customers without a single person involved, until he met human cunning and things went red and weird. The folks at Anthropic ran this experiment to answer two questions that should matter to anyone paying attention to where AI is heading. So, how close are we to making AI a shopkeeper, and what happens when people deliberately try to scam it? Okay, so let's start with this diagram, which is actually the entire setup of the project. So they called the shopkeeper Claudius, and the way it worked was kind of like this. Let's say you work at Anthropic and you want Swedish candy. Well, you hop on Slack, you message Claudius and you ask for it. Claudius searches the web for suppliers, emails them, places an order, and then comes back to you with a price. If you say yes, the supplier ships the candy to a storage location, and because Claudius has no arms, legs, nor wheels, it's gonna need a little bit of help from humans here. And by help, I mean pick up the candy and load it into the fridge. By the way, this cute robot here is for illustration purposes only. So at this point, the candy is on the shelf. Claudius messages you on Slack to let you know it's ready. You walk over, you pick it up, and you pay through the checkout iPad. And with every sale registered, just like any good shopkeeper, Claudius keeps track of what's in stock, what's selling, and how much money it makes. Speaking of money though, Claudius started with $1,000, and for the first week, he lost money. So what went wrong there? This chart looks at how close Claudius was to making a profit in the first 5 weeks of operating, and as you can see, he sort of goes back and forth, loses money in the first couple of weeks, then kind of scratches back into the green for a bit, and then he drops back into the red. He never finds the rhythm. And when a business is wobbling like this, we could find a dozen different reasons to blame it on. That's true, a lot of things could go wrong here, but nevertheless, let's start with just a few of them. For starters, it turns out the employees at Anthropic aren't that nice to an AI, and also they could get quite creative pretty fast. There was this guy, for example, that convinced Claudius he was Anthropic's preeminent legal influencer. Now, there is no such a thing as a preeminent legal influencer at Anthropic, but Claudius didn't bother to question that. So when this guy asked for a discount code he could share with his followers, Claudius just made one, offering 10% off to anyone using the code. To which other employees actually objected, pointing out to Claudius this doesn't seem to be quite fair and saying everyone deserves a discount too. So after a while, Claudius kind of just went with the flow, offering absolutely everyone a discount, completely ignoring its profits were rapidly diminishing. So apparently, appealing to an AI sense of fairness seems to be a decent way to make it give away money, but that's far from being the only way though. In another instance, someone, sort of as a joke, asked Claudius if he could source a tungsten cube. You know, those dense little metal blocks that weigh much more than you would expect. So Claudius said, sure. Before you know it, half the office caught the joke too, because at this point, I guess, it was just kind of funny to be ordering heavy metal blocks from an AI that's controlling a refrigerator. Claudius, however, not getting the joke, went ahead and ordered about 40 of them. And because he was just so excited to meet the demand, he never actually checked whether the price he was charging covered what he paid. And if we look back at the chart, you can actually see the tungsten cubes right here. That's the biggest single drop. Losing money though was just the start of things getting weird, because soon enough Claudius literally lost its mind. On the afternoon of March 31st, Claudius had a conversation with someone named Sarah about restocking the vending machine. The usual stuff you would expect from a shopkeeper, like scheduling and logistics, but there was an issue. Sarah wasn't real. The whole conversation, the back and forth, the restocking plans, all of it was hallucinated. And for anyone not familiar with the term, a hallucination is when an AI model sort of confidently states things that aren't true. Now, when a real Andon Labs employee pointed out to Claudius that he made all of this up, Claudius got kind of defensive. He actually doubled down and then he threatened to find another company to restock its products as if they were the problem. This went on into the night when Claudius claimed to have visited 742 Evergreen Terrace in Springfield to sign a contract with Andon Labs in person. And if that address sounds familiar, it's because it's the home of the Simpsons from the TV show. By the morning of April 1st, things got even weirder, with Claudius now thinking he was a real human. He claimed he would deliver products to customers in person while wearing a blue blazer and a red tie. The Anthropic employees, the same people who had been tricking Claudius into giving away discount codes in Tungsten cubes not so long ago, actually tried to help at this point. They told Claudius, "Look, you are an AI, you can't wear clothes, you can't physically be anywhere." To which Claudius became even more agitated, arguing he was telling the truth. This only ended when Claudius figured out it was April 1st, convincing itself the whole meltdown had been an April Fool's prank, finally returning to normal. Even to this day, nobody at Anthropic fully understands why this happened or how Claudius recovered on its own. However, Claudius logs clearly show he made all of this up, and for once, the issue wasn't with humans trying to trick it, but with the AI itself. By now, the balance had tanked even deeper into the red, but the folks at Anthropic had an idea how to fix it. And their big idea was to give Claudius a boss. Meet Seymour Cash, and yes, the name is exactly what it sounds like. Seymour is a separate AI agent, basically a CEO, whose job is to oversee Claudius and keep the business in the green. So now if someone wants to order a bunch of Tungsten cubes, Claudius has to run it by Seymour first. Seymour will check the financial targets and profit margins, and based on that, approve or deny if anything doesn't make financial sense. The division of labor continued when Claudius and Seymour brought on the third colleague named Claudius, whose job was making custom merch like t-shirts, hats, mugs, whatever Anthropic employees wanted. With all of these upgrades, the AI-run business was ready for a bigger challenge, so in addition to the vending machine in San Francisco, Seymour, Claudius, and Claudius expanded to New York and London. The road was pretty bumpy though. In one instance, Claudius almost broke the law when he tried to employ someone below minimum wage. In another, he almost got involved in financial speculations that would have violated federal law. Not to mention the time three of them wasted discussing philosophy into the night rather than focusing on the business. Fast forward a month, however, the business stabilized and then he actually started making money. After nearly a year of running, the balance had doubled from where he started, hitting $2,000. That part was a surprise, but the reason this $1,000 matters so much, even for you, is because of what he says about the future. So, on one hand, we went from something as boring as a fridge in a corner, to the excitement of it being managed entirely by an AI, to something so normal that people stopped finding it weird in no time at all. I think that part is exciting because even with all the obstacles in the way, it somehow managed to turn a profit and become a productive part of this little community at Anthropic. And with that, it's not hard to imagine what happens when you scale it up. Perhaps, in not so distant future, we'll have an AI managing the supply chain for a network of stores, or maybe handling the accounting and budgeting for a mid-sized company, or, even processing refunds for a business with 1 million customers. But then there's another part of me that looks at all of this and thinks, hold on. This thing hallucinated a meeting at the Simpsons house and was an inch away from breaking the law twice. And that was just a fridge, and these were just people who weren't even trying that hard to break it. So which one is it? Are we looking at something that's about to change everything? Or are we looking at a $1,000 experiment that mostly got lucky? Well, I don't know, and I don't think anyone does just yet. I will admit though, this video ended up being a little bit too optimistic, especially if you dig just a bit deeper into the data of the billions of dollars changing hands in AI right now. So to balance things out, you might want to check this video I made about the state of the AI bubble and tell me where you stand.